When I first started walking down to the cove with my husband, it felt so lonely. And it felt like the ancestors were telling me they felt forgotten and that they wanted life, laughter, voices come back. The cove, it was a place of barbecues and gatherings, and it was full of life. And I heard the elder's voice say, "Don't forget us and come back." I felt like I could hear those voices in the wind. I felt like I could hear those voices in the waves when they hit the beach. And so that's my dream, is to answer them. My name is Teresa Harlan, the daughter of Elizabeth Campili Harlan, and my mother, Liz, grew up at the Cove, which we now call Felix Cove, at the west shores of Tomales Bay.
For Teresa Harlan, Felix Cove holds her cultural and ancestral heritage. Her family, known as the Tamalco, inhabited the land for generations.
This is indigenous land. This is the house where my mother grew up, and we want to rematriate it, meaning we want to bring back its beauty. So the stories that my mom would share with me, it was little glimpses of what it was like to be at the Cove. So when the tide's in today, so when the tide was out, my mom would walk around the rocks and go play with her cousins over at her Auntie Perky's place. This was the living room. That was the bedroom. They lived out there at the little house without electricity, without indoor plumbing. Everything that I know, everything that shaped me and formed me as a human being, as an Indigenous woman, came from my mom. And so it came from her and knowing herself as a Tomales Bay Indian. Our family was evicted in the 50s by a K-Ranch owner. And I love that my Uncle Vic, when the ranchers told him to leave, he didn't leave. So he made them evict him by court order.
The Tamalco people and the Hukuiku and the other groups of indigenous people from this area, if they had some freedom for a few years, it was basically taken away by land ownership and drawing these lines of this land is mine and this land is yours.
During the colonial period, owning land was the most valuable form of economic currency. To this day, it is a symbol of wealth and opportunity, but at what cost would their pursuit of a new life have on the people who were already there?
The American dream as we know it never included indigenous peoples. I mean, the infamous painting of Manifest Destiny, she's driving out the buffalo and she's driving out Indian people.
You can go and get a large plot of land and be your own boss, and all you had to do was to push out the people who were already there.
With the American dream, you make more money, you have a bigger house. The rematriation work that I see, it's not on a cash dollar economy. It doesn't worship money. So the vision plan at Felix Cove is to create a place that's healing, that's creative, a place that reflects the indigenous practices, the ancestral practices. So if you hike down the trail or if you kayak up to the beach, there's no mistake that it's a home.
Teresa is currently leading efforts to return Felix Cove to Indigenous care, but the National Park Service is not cooperating, preventing her the right to take care of her ancestral land.
So it's been a year, almost a year since we submitted our vision plan at the request of the National Park Superintendent. So I've been asking for a meeting before the end of this year. I don't have a meeting date from the park. I feel disappointed that we do not have continuity in our relationship, but not surprised, working with federal agencies, bureaucratic agencies.
In 2018, the park established the Historic Ranching District, honoring the colonial concept of land ownership. Despite this protection of settler ranches, places like Felix Cove continue to struggle for federal recognition of their indigenous history.
So all of the ranches that are out there are listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Our family house are included, but as K-Ranch. And that's not accurate. It needs to have its own listing as an indigenous site. There is mention of that a Coast Miwok family lived there, but it's tangential to the value that the park sees as the historic ranching legacy. The house and this shed, these two structures here, as far as we know, are the last remaining structures built by indigenous hands, Talmoko hands. The house itself is a survivor. So when we think about how we protect other monuments, my question is, why don't we protect this home in the same way? I would love for them to respond. I would love for them to say, yeah, let's meet before the end of the year. But right now, it's just silence. And silence is a response.
Teresa's journey at Felix Cove is just one part of a growing land back movement, where Native people are advocating for the return of their stolen land.
I find inspiration from the land back movement, from leadership in that movement.
We're here at the sunrise ceremony at Alcatraz. You know, this is the day that we pray. We come together and we're praying during the sunrise, and we're honoring all those ancestors that were here, that are here.
These gatherings and walks are for awareness, to bring people aware that we're still here, we're not going nowhere. This is our land and you're not going to take it from us.
We need to come together, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, and rise up. It's time! It's time!
Native people never gave up their ties to the land and to the water. So no matter where we are, concrete, pavement, the vision is still true to creating a place that is there for future generations. That's an indigenous dream.